How important do you think marriage counseling is in the effort to prove your marriage was real, right? So this Chinese girl married a US citizen, got a green card, but then things started falling apart. They live in different states. They don't have that many joint documents. And then they got a divorce. The case was hard because they lived together for a very short amount of time. They both have two different addresses in two different states. She was in a immigration predicament when she got married to said US citizen. And with very little joint documents, how do you prove that marriage was real? We're going to walk you through every single exhibit we used just so you can compare, right? So you can see exactly how we built up a case. So the first page, of course, is just a cover page. We're explaining the circumstance, explaining the type of case, and in one paragraph, kind of like a Netflix special, right? Just giving the key abstract of what this case is about, so the officer already kind of knows. Then, half a page, a detailed background. Now this is much more in depth into the main character of the story and what it's like and their premarital life and how this marriage is real. So that's entirely on the second page. Then the factors leading up to the divorce, almost a full page of that, right? There's so much more that we can add, but we keep it to about a page. And then the attempts to save the marriage. Normally, we don't necessarily spend a whole page doing this, but we definitely split it up and talking about the attempts to save the marriage because so much of the evidence was about the attempt to save the marriage, to prove that the marriage is real. And then the last page was the conclusion and the consequence of denial, etc. So 4-page, single-spaced, fully laying everything out. But now let's go through the exhibits. So the first exhibit, by way of explanation of the request for waiver, the client in her own sworn and notarized affidavit regarding the specific facts of the courtship, the good faith marriage with the U.S. citizen. Now, Section A, the evidence of the marital counseling. Copy of the email confirmation with regards to the marriage counseling. Letter from the church talking about their premarital counseling. Copy of the receipts with regards to the counseling. Copy of the couple chat history regarding the communication to salvage the marital relationship. Copy of the email appointments detailing the counseling sessions. Then in Section B, this is what we traditionally use and most attorneys traditionally use, right? Copy of the tax returns, joint bank account statements, copy of the retirement system showing that both of names are on it, copy of lease with both names on it, insurance. There was like a victim crime report, and so we show incidents of that theft, both people's names are on it. Copy of the title for the car, copy of the insurance for both people with the same health insurance and company insurance. Costco accounts for both of them, email communication between the two of them. All of that shows, okay, this probably happened. They were in a marital relationship. But the problem was, all of that was in a very short amount of time. So yes, there were some documents, but total, it was just a very short period before she had to move out. Then talking about the preparation for the marriage. So, I mean, this is like everything we included in the first filing, but we talked about like the marriage suite, the honeymoon, we talked about the wedding ceremony, all the guests. Then we wanted to end it strong. We talked about the courtship and the history of that courtship because they dated for a long time before they got married and then before they filed for the green card. But then the actual marriage lasted very short and then they moved out and then they filed divorce. So that's not great. But because they dated for so long, should that not be counted? Are we really only evaluating the documents within the marriage? That doesn't seem fair. So we provided all of that. Again, it's up to USCIS discretion to determine whether or not the marriage is real. But hey, this is not one of those like online dating relationships that they met each other, got married within a month, and then got a green card and now filing divorce, right? This is a long-term relationship and it just really didn't work out. And then here's some other documents establishing that a marriage was real. Lots of pictures, lots of text messages, and lots of affidavits from friends. In total, 39 documents. 39 documents that we curated from probably the hundreds that was sent over, and we built it and we filed. An officer somewhere in America reviewing this case, they decided it was okay to approve this case without a request for evidence. Now, you might be saying, oh, this was such a good case. There's so many exhibits. But if you take a step back and you peel away all of these other tertiary facts and you just look at the length of the marriage and the fact that they were living in two different states, if you look at that alone, you can seriously question the legitimacy of this marriage. And that is why we led with the marriage counseling. They try to make marriage work. The client themselves, studied psychology. The client themselves are very sophisticated in this world of emotions and relationships and trying to make things work. But they tried and they failed. But that trying was their effort to salvage the relationship. I could tell you, without the marriage counseling documents, this case would have been super weak. Even with it, we thought this case was weak. But we filed it, and we didn't get a request for evidence, and the case was approved. So we're very happy to share that story with you. You know, every circumstance, every relationship is different. In their case, the marriage counseling really helped, as you can see. So whether or not marriage counseling helps for you, for immigration purposes or not for immigration purposes, really consider it. I personally believe in it. I personally believe when you really understand your own emotional state, when you understand how to analyze yourself, know thyself is such an important imperative. If marriage counseling can help you understand yourself better, make you a better person, it's good all around, especially in a green card application. If you have any questions about this case, feel free to reach out. Take care. Bye-bye.